All right. Big challenge, obviously, this week, really. Most biggest game of the year for us. Right now, you're coming in and, you can look at the last 2 weeks in top 10 matchups. Were big games, but they weren't against SEC East teams. So, huge game for us right now, and good challenge for our team because, if you look overall schedule, and probably in the middle of a 4-game stretch, right? That nobody else in college football can match. So, but huge challenge, just the mental, physical toughness. We got to keep grinding, keep moving forward as a team. Injury-wise, we got to see, with our DNs, there'll be game time decisions. So we'll have to see how that goes this week. For them, and like I've said, we've had to deal with just injury. Injuries happen. You come into the year and you say, hey, if you're going to have a great year, most teams are going to have a great year. You're going to stay injury free. We're probably the furthest thing from that in America of staying injury free this year. But you know what, our guys have shown some how to deal with adversity and come through that, and continue to perform and find a way to win games despite all the injuries we've had to deal with. So, talented team. Obviously, a team that's got some great playmakers on their offensive side of the ball. One of the best receivers in the league. Run the ball really well. Good offensive front. Able to block. Defensive line, they got a premier defensive line. Some veteran players at linebacker that are great playmakers, and then some real big-time playmakers in the secondary. I think everybody saw that last week. So, should be a big challenge for us, and we got to try to find a way to win. I said a lot of profound things right there. Everybody's still writing down.
Another minor injury thing. How did Trask come out after the game?
Yeah, he's fine. He came out good. Yeah, he's better. He didn't nothing recurring. So, which is good because he did a great job last week. Had to limit his reps some in practice. But he did a good job preparing. But he came out fine, so he should be good to go.
Emory played a good amount on Saturday. Was that? It seems like more than he had been. Was that something about LSU's defense?
That was kind of a game plan thing for us, and we had some things that we liked that Emory in there for that we thought were good for us, and then and some stuff, usually there's stuff that it really doesn't matter who's in. There were some things we wanted Emory in that, especially with Kyle not getting as many reps during the week, Emory got some more reps, and there were some things we wanted to take off of Kyle's plate.
Edgar.
So what first stood out to you when you got here about Kyle Trask? Just like what quality?
I don't know. He's a big guy, when I first got here, the thing I was probably most impressed with was the attitude of the quarterbacks, and their ability to want to compete and their ability to want to try to lead, and they, to me at that point, I don't think they were very good vocal leaders, any of them. But, they certainly were trying to lead by example, and whether it was Kyle or Felipe, what I mean by not big vocal leaders, they weren't, they're not out in front of the rah-rah on the team and telling everybody how it's going to be. But if you watch them in workouts and watched how the time they put in the work and what we were doing, they were always trying to be out in front.
And what stood out to you most, I guess, about him, the way he's handled the job? One thing, it just seems his poise is, especially the other night, is pretty amazing.
I think for him, I think it shows the preparation that he's put in. You know what I mean? Over the time period that he was ready. You never know how you're going to act when your number gets called. And, if you've prepared properly, you have a chance. And obviously, I think what shows is the maturity he has and the preparation he's had over the last couple of years. And, that he's taken advantage of that preparation. And, so when his number's called, it's not like, okay, we got to hold back or we can't do things within the offense. He's prepared himself to be the starting quarterback since the day that we got here. And that shows that, now we need you to go be the starter. Okay, I've been preparing for that moment since the day you got here. I'm ready. And give me the ball, I'll go do it.
Is there Given the depth at quarterback with only the two guys, is there any hesitation in your mind playing both, worrying about an injury, or can you just not operate like that?
You just got to go, right? I mean, hesitation. I mean, statistically speaking, they could roll an ankle walking to class today. Hopefully that doesn't happen, or one of those deals. So you just go play.
Speaking of quarterbacks and injuries, South Carolina played two different guys. What, I guess, does Helinski bring to the table? And then it looked like their backup that came in for him maybe offered some more running threat.
They've had to deal with a little bit of quarterback injuries. It looks like Helinski's fine and is going to play, so it doesn't look like that'll be an issue for him. The other quarterback came in, and I thought, very much like our guys, he did a great job. They didn't change what they did offensively. He just brought a little flavor to it, and he was able to come in and win the game for him. And so, I think it shows they have some good depth and they feel pretty comfortable with both guys playing.
Ryan's in the back. We'll get you a microphone.
After watching Kyle against Auburn, where he seemed to be very much like a statue in the pocket, Saturday against LSU, he's moving better in the pocket and everything. How much of that was emphasis during the week and
No, not a whole lot. I mean, it's an emphasis every week. I don't know that it was anything different this week than it's been in other weeks. I think a lot is where they rush you, Auburn just basically had guys, nowhere to move. They just had guys pushing everybody right back in. There's nowhere to go. There were some, LSU is getting some really good edge pressure, and so you can slide up and maneuver in the pocket. That's not one thing or another. That's emphasized since the first day of spring practice 2 years ago.
And anything new on Kadarius Toney?
Nope.
Will over here. Or go.
Hey, Dan, a lot of success with 5 wide receiver sets, I thought, the other day. How fun is that for you to kind of design those type of plays, and what do you think made it work so well against LSU?
Well, I think, one of the things we're always trying to look for is matchups out there on the field and how to create advantageous matchups. We run, I guess I don't know how people design offense. In my mind, we run pro-style offense, which is where we try to spread the field and create matchups. Let's like go watch a game on Sunday, and that's basically all they do is how do you create advantageous matchups. So I think that's why you look at our guys have so much success playing in the NFL and how fast they can adapt to that game because we run that style offense. And so part of it is that, we're looking at our personnel and we're trying to create mismatch advantages across the board and see. And so when you spread people out, you can kind of define what they're going to do at times. And you have the opportunity to create mismatches. LSU's a big man-to-man team. They love to play man-to-man, and they got some good players. And what we're trying to do is trying to mismatch, get a mismatch with one of our players against, where we thought our player was better than theirs.
Thomas.
Dan, it seemed like Marco slid inside to star a little bit there in the second half.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, it's the same, similar deal defensively for us is how are we creating the good matchups against people, and creating, putting guys in position to make plays, and the opportunity, if we can stay healthy, the more health you have, the more depth you have, the more you can move guys around to create mismatches, or try to, take certain things away that they're going to try to do. And that's what we do as coaches. Our job is try to, put people in the best position that they can be in to make plays.
Mark.
When was the first moment that you realized Kyle Pitts could be a kind of a force out there? And what is it beyond his physical skills that make him so difficult to match up?
Probably his first spring on campus. Right away, you knew he was something special. As soon as he got on campus, we knew he was something special. I just think, in certain times it takes, a little bit of development for those guys coming in when you're getting at, to go from a high school offense to a pro offense. There's certain adjustments that, that come with it, with how to run routes, how to do things. And, I think you look at last year, he made some big plays last year for us. Not quite like this year, but he made some, but it was, there are other times he he'd get tangled up, or he wasn't accustomed to what he was doing and how to get open on and run every route with the specifics of how to do it. So, but right away we knew he would become a problem for people with matchups, and and it was just how fast he developed into that, and he's really developed into that. Over the last couple of coming into the year, we thought that, and. The big one coming into the year. Last year, he played a lot more flexed out, getting comfortable as a route runner. This year, playing a little bit more attached. And the mismatches he creates is his ability to do both. And so now that he's kind of comfortable in both positions, now he becomes more of a mismatch problem.
And second look on the run defense, was there anything that stood out as problematic there?
Well, we had a couple of bad fits. One touchdown, we had a guy lined up, didn't get lined up. Another one, we had a bad fit on the back end. And so I don't know. There's one thing that is there. There's just several things, and you can't. You when you get in the bigger the game, and as the season goes on, the margin for error shrinks. And so when you're in a game like that, one guy misaligned, instead of it being 2nd and 4, it's 7-0. And, that's where the margin for error has got to be so exact in those games.
Thank you.
Back to Kyle. Sorry. But back to Kyle. He seems kind of mild-mannered, but mild-mannered.
Kyle 11 or Kyle 84?
Oh, I'm sorry. Kyle Pitts. They both do, actually.
Is that how you tell them?
Kyle Pitts?
Kyle Pitts.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I forgot there was another guy.
Yeah. Well, you were asking questions about the other Kyle earlier, so I didn't know which way you were going.
I'm confusing you. Kyle Pitts. He seems very mild-mannered.
They're both, and then you started with mild-mannered. They're both kind of mild-mannered, too.
Apologies, but does he have a underlying killer instinct? I mean, don't you kind of have to be kind of? I mean, he's
he has
pretty
I think he's got a competitive side. I think he's got a very big competitive side to him. He's not going to be out there. You're not going to mistake him for one of our big trash talkers on the team, and one of those super hype guys on the team. But he certainly has a very competitive side to him.
How do you go about evaluating and learning from a game plan? Is it I know you grade players? Is it akin to, do you grade yourself and your staff?
Yeah, we grade everything as we look at it. You know what I mean? And what do we do well? What do we do poorly? What players did well? I mean, when you sit in our Monday morning meeting, you sit and you just take your number of guys that graded out in champion. Okay. Guess what? This was our least number of guys that graded out. There's no shock, I mean, okay. You go to the plan to win. Play great defense. No, didn't really do that. Okay, win the turnover battle. No, we didn't do that. Red zone scoring. They were perfect. We missed 2 opportunities. Kicking game push. So 3 out of the 4, we didn't follow the plan to win. And I mean, you could, if you handed me the sheet at the end of the game with just, here's our plan to win presentation, here's your number of champions, I'd tell you we didn't win the game, didn't even need to show up. I could just look at that paper and tell you what happened. So it's not super complicated, like I said. I mean, what we do all during the week, what we do in our preparation, we ask our guys to do complicated. Whether or not you're going to win the game is not very complicated. There are certain things you do. If you do those things well, you win. If you don't, you won't.
In terms of the game plan, the offensive game plan, the execution, how did that grade out?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
Except for the end. Those 2 red zone drives, and that's on me. There's a lot that goes into it, but I mean, we got to call better plays. We got to get the ball in the end zone.
And sustaining drives in an environment like that, is that more challenging than?
Yeah, I think it is. I think, the aspect is the communication, you know what I mean, of which I thought we handled. One of the things we wanted to do was try to get the plays in early, give the guys time at the line of scrimmage. You're not dealing with delay of game penalties and, rushing with a lot of false start penalties and putting guys in bad position. And I thought that was kind of the plan going in. We wanted to try to control the tempo of the game. I thought we were able to do that a little bit, and limit the number of offensive plays they have. And we were able to do that. And like I said, I mean, with the exception of the execution right there on those the final 2 red zone possessions, we had the one holding penalty there was like only one penalty in the whole game, and it was, a game-changing penalty. Because we go from, first and 10 on their side of the field after they scored to go back and, probably drive down and take the lead again, into first and 20 backed up way deep in our own end. And I think that was a big moment in the game. Little things. Not that we still overcame it, had the opportunity to score twice there at the end to tie it, or maybe go for two. We'll never know.
Well,
Pitts is kind of like a unicorn in what he's able to kind of do. When you're recruiting him,
Did you call him a unicorn because of the HBO special when he had the funky little hat on? Or I thought was that a unicorn hat, or was that a dinosaur? I think it was more dinosaur. So he's more of a dinosaur than a unicorn.
fair enough. Either way, though, there's not too many like him. So when you're recruiting him, I guess like you guys had to kind of like hold on to him. When he was already committed, or when you came. So did you have to like show him anybody that like maybe you previously coached, because he's pretty different?
We just
than other
talked about it
guys.
and look at tight ends within our offense in the past. And you look at like Jordan Thomas or Malcolm Johnson, both NFL players that played in the system. You go all the way back to Cornelius Ingram and Aaron Hernandez, that played in this system, and guys that have a lot of success out there within what we do. So I think for him it is, and I think other tight ends now, you're looking at him and saying, hey, okay, there's a lot of places I can go and block where they don't throw the ball to the tight end much, and maybe I get a play action pass, like a naked pass to me every once in a while, or I can go where I'm a weapon in the offense. And, for us, a tight end to me is a weapon within the offense.
He's a guy who didn't really play a whole lot of tight end in high school, though, up until I think like late in his career. Did you kind of envision like?
Yeah, like a lot of if you look at all of our guys that have had success, did a lot of that. I don't look for the guys that only block. You know what I mean? We look for the guys that are going to be weapons offensively for us. That they come and they sit there and say, hey, I'm not switching my 77 jersey to an 87 to go play tight end. I want guys with like number 3 and 1 and 4 that want to play tight end, that are playmakers.
Cassidy,
Yep.
Yeah, couple of things. First, the score after LSU went up 35-28, you went straight to Emory for the next drive. I'm figuring out what was the decision to go only with Emory on that?
Just the scripted plays that we had, and the plays we thought, okay, hey, here's a series, here's a couple of plays we want to have, and he was in there, and the first 2 plays we wanted him to run those first 2 plays, and you're hoping obviously not to get a third down, but we had a third down and short, and we thought we had a good play call for him on that situation, and they ended up getting a pass rush on us. And, we had the incomplete pass, but it was more like our scripted series of what we were looking to run. It wasn't like, hey, he's playing that whole series. If we get a couple first downs, we've done what we did the whole game, which is roll those guys through.
And when he was in, I think he only threw like 2 passes. Is that just still a trust factor? Or is that
No, it's just kind of the scheme and what we had going and what we were looking for out of it. The one was a drop, and we had a receiver run the wrong route. One of the other guys, it would have been open. He would have been 2 for 2 for 2 touchdowns, which would have been a pretty good day. So he, part of it is what we're trying to set up.
And then last year after the Georgia loss that kind of snowballed into the Missouri loss, you really pushed this team and told them what they needed to play for. Do you feel that this team this year is better equipped to handle this loss?
We're going to find out because, after the Missouri loss, we, we won 10 in a row, a New Year's Six Bowl, beat 3 of our rivals, and 2 top 10 victories. So which one, that's what I asked, I don't know. We got to see which one. I know which one I want to show up. I know how my attitude's going to be towards the week. Hopefully it's the second one within our team, which is a team that, kind of responded in a big way to that loss in how they dealt with adversity, and not the first one where I don't think we handled it very well.
Edgar.
Will Muschamp, you faced him several times here as OC and then at Mississippi
I got
State.
you. Yeah.
Yeah, what stands out about his defense is
They play hard. He does a good job. They have a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball. They give you a lot of different multiple looks. I think they mix a lot of different things up, which is always a challenge. You know, and but you watch them. I mean, you watch them the last couple of games. You watch the guys. I mean, they have they are a talented defensive front. You know, probably as good or better than the defensive front we played last week. You know, and then they got veteran linebackers that I think are great playmakers. And then the secondary, you saw their corners, the length, the skill they have a corner, the playmaking ability that they have. So they have a lot of talent. He does a good job mixing things up to kind of keep you on edge and, you know, of coverage, blitz, mixing up looks. Bowley's done a good job of that.
What would the offensive line do a little differently to kind of? It just seemed like the run game went a little bit better this week.
I mean, just executed probably a little cleaner. I mean, I still would have hoped we ran the ball a little better than we did, but I thought going into it, we thought we could run the ball a little bit. You know, even though you might scratch your head and say, why would you think that? I thought we could run the ball a little bit, and I thought we were able to at times during the day. And you know, but a lot of it goes in how people are going to play you too. You know, I mean, there are times in the game and saying, okay, we've created a lot of mismatches on the field. They're going to try to, you know, drop off and play some different coverages. They kept playing man. We kept attacking the mismatches, and that's how we're able to get so many yards.
How much is this P. Ryan's effort just kind of inspire the team a little bit? I mean, he ran hard the other night.
I think a lot. I think, you know, and I think he's, you know, I mean, he is running hard. I thought our guys played hard. I mean, I don't look at the game. I look at the guys. I'm not disappointed with our effort or our attitude or our preparation. You know, we did. In a big time game, we had an opportunity to make some plays we didn't make, and that's what happened. And so, you know, there's a lot we could build off of that. You continue to build with you know where you are and how the season goes. And you know, this is a big point of our season right now where we're at.
Is it easier to make changes after a loss? I mean, when you're winning games, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But if you have stuff to show after a loss, maybe change things offensively, schematically, or defensively, or get guys to go.
I'm similar. You know, I mean, you know, I'm one in this. I'm probably after a win. It's not, you know, I mean, everyone after a win thinks it's the greatest thing in the world, and after a loss, it's the most terrible thing in the world, right? It's really not. It's probably, you know, instead of like this, it's probably more like this. And how are we correcting things? So, you know, we're going to correct things just like we would every single week. And we got to. The same thing applies. If we don't practice better, if we don't prepare better, and if we don't perform better, we can't expect to win this week. But that's the same thing that goes every single week throughout the year. Hopefully that all goes all the way through January whenever we play the game.
All set?
Good deal. Thank you, guys.
If we would have been 2 for 2 with 2 touchdowns, that would have matched Tebow in 06. He was 2 for 2 with 2 touchdowns in 06. The Rock, right?
LSU?
That's all? Huh?
Which game?
06.
That's what I'm saying. LSU?
Yeah, LSU.